Hi there! Welcome to this walkthrough video of distinction. In this video, we will cover some basic function of the instrument that revolves around the beauty of resonance and unconventional sound creation. Let's dive into some of the key features of distinction. Distinction features a wide array of sound sources. We've taken unconventional approaches creating these sound sources, like bowing cymbals with a cello bow, routing synths through reverb and heavy distortion, or even generating feedback with guitar amplifiers, microphones and speakers. The result? Sounds you might have never heard before, full of character and complex overtones. You can mix these sound sources in 2 tonal layers. Additionally, you can add a noise layer to your composition, filled with a collection of noises, field recordings and ambiences. Distinction is designed to provide a high degree of playability, enabling you to express yourself in various ways while playing it. This is achieved by using the mod wheel to control various parameters simultaneously. You can think of it like the dynamic slider in any conventional string library. Consequently, you're not playing a violin or cello sample here, but rather a bowed cymbal, in this case way much easier to control than in real life. With over 200 ready-to-play presets and a built-in sound designer, you will find enough content to always feel inspired, as well as the flexibility to edit these presets or craft your own sounds from scratch. Now, let's explore how to make the most of distinction. When you enter distinction for the first time, you're in easy mode. In easy mode, you have the ability to load presets and make basic adjustments. Parameters like drive amount, reverb amount, and the cutoff of the master low-pass filter are available. To begin loading a preset is simple. Click the skipper buttons to navigate through the presets sequentially, or click on the preset name display to access the preset menu. Here you have a selection of over 200 factory presets. Each page showcases 32 presets, and you can easily navigate through pages using pager buttons or skipper buttons for quick browsing. If you want to select a preset, simply click on a preset name, and it will be loaded instantly. There are 2 different preset menus, factory presets and user presets. Switch between them using the toggle button. The user preset menu is your location for storing and managing your personally crafted presets and sound edits. We'll explore how to save a preset in detail a bit later. When you're ready to continue, simply close the preset menu by clicking the close button. In case you run out of presets, don't hesitate. In that case, we've integrated a sound design function. Every time you hit this button here, a fresh preset is generated, guaranteeing a constant flow of new sounds. If your creative ideas go beyond using presets, that's where the Pro mode comes in. Perhaps a certain sound needs a touch of customization to perfectly fit in a production. To access more advanced editing features, simply transition to the Pro mode by pressing this knob in the top left corner. In this mode, you can fine-tune existing sounds or craft entirely new ones from scratch. As you can see, there are plenty of editing options here. Let's start with the layer section first. A sound in distinction consists of 2 tonal layers and 1 noise layer. It's up to you whether you use all of them or just one to create your sound. These layers can be loaded with various sound sources. The pitch of the sound sources that are used for the tonal layers can be controlled by using the keyboard. While the noise layer consists of more or less non-tonal materials such as noises, field recordings, and ambiences. The pitch of these sounds remains constant, regardless of the key you press. Let's focus on the tonal layer first, represented by these 2 sections. To load a sound source into the first layer, you have 2 options, similar to preset selection. You can either use the skipper button to browse sequentially through the sound sources, or you can access the sound source menu by clicking on the display. In this menu, you can choose from over 100 different sound sources. By the way, keep in mind that as a working company, we continually update the sound source content based on our own productions. To stay updated, subscribe to our newsletter and never miss an update. To select a sound source, simply click on its name and it will be loaded into the respective layer. If you don't want the menu to close and wish to explore other sound sources, you can click the pin button in the top right corner and the menu will remain open when you load a sound source. You can determine which layer will be loaded with the chosen sound source by the frame that changes when you click on another layer. Tonal layers 1 and 2 offer the same selection of sound sources, while the noise layer features different ones. In Distinction, you have the ability not only to play these sound sources, but also to edit them individually. For instance, you can independently adjust the volume of each layer, and there are even more additional options in the layer editor. To access the layer editor, simply click on the small arrow button. Within this editor, you can modify parameters like pitch, transpose offset, apply high-pass and low-pass filters, and manage the panning of each layer. Let's have a closer look at the single sections of the layer editor. In this section here, you can adjust the pitch of the layer or switch to transpose mode and adjust the transposition of the layer. Understanding the difference between pitching and transposing is crucial in the context of sampling. Pitch affects the playback speed of the triggered sample. Lowering the pitch results in a slower playback, while raising it makes the sample play faster. Transposing means that the incoming MIDI note is altered, resulting in the triggering of a different sample. In simpler terms, when you play a C note on your keyboard, the sample located at the C position in the sampler will be triggered. If you use pitch mode and apply a negative value, the same sample will be triggered, but it will play back at a slower speed. On the other hand, if you switch to transpose mode and apply the same value, for example, -2, the sample deposited at the B-flat position will be triggered instead of the sample at the C position. It is as if you played a B-flat note, with the difference being that this setting will exclusively affect the respective layer. You can easily switch between these two modes using this button here. The high-pass and low-pass filters work just like any other filters you might be familiar with. However, Distinction focuses on resonance, so of course you can add resonance to the filter. And when it comes to resonance, the filter starts to self-oscillate at a certain value. This results in a sinus-likely whistle tone. You can fine-tune this whistle tone by adjusting the filter cutoff. But it can be challenging to match it with specific musical notes. To simplify this process, we've included a filter quantized button. When activated, the filter cutoff will snap to frequencies that correspond to the equal tempered scale, making it easier to tune your resonance. Keep in mind that high resonances can be very annoying and stressful to your ears, especially when playing higher notes. To counteract this, use the control provided to lower the volume of higher notes, ensuring a more comfortable sound across the keyboard. In the pan section, you can adjust the layer's position between the left and right speakers. You also have the option to enable a smooth auto-pan modulation by pressing this button. This causes the layer sound to pan slowly from left to right, without touching the dedicated control. The editor options for the two tonal layers are identical. By toggling this knob, you can link them. When link is enabled, any adjustments made to one layer will also be applied to the other. Compared to the two tonal layers, the editor for the noise layer has some differences. It includes also a high-pass and a low-pass filter, although the low-pass filter is less complex than the ones in the tonal layers. With the color knob, you can change the speed at which the triggered noise sample is played back. It functions similarly to the pitch adjustment in the tonal layers, but due to the fact we are outside of tonal material here, it's referred to as color, because it alters the noise timbre or color as you turn the knob. Now let's talk about another special feature, the resonator. The pitch of the noise layer doesn't change based on the key you press on the keyboard, but the Resonator makes it playable nonetheless. It consists of 2 high resonating filters, similar to the low-pass filter in the tonal layers, but they are tuned to the key you play on the keyboard. Let's listen to how this sounds. At first you hear this field recording of a forest. As you increase the first resonance, a soft whistle tone begins to appear, tuned to the keys you press on your keyboard. When you raise the second knob, a second resonance an octave higher appears. You can adjust the pitch offset of the second resonance using this control if you prefer. I'll add another octave. When you attach a little bit of reverb and saturation to the sound, it will start to sound very beautiful. In addition to these controls, there are several other parameters in the Resonator. For instance, the root control allows you to adjust the root octave, and you can reintroduce the original sound with this knob. The Resonator offers 6 different types, each with a slightly different sound, ranging from a lighter tone with less resonance to a darker tone with higher resonance. Feel free to play around with these controls and tweak them to suit your needs. I forgot to mention this little slider here. It controls how much the amount of the second resonance is affected by the mod wheel or the main CC controller. You'll find these sliders at various positions in Distinction. Let's take a closer look now. As previously mentioned, a key feature of Distinction is its high playability via the mod wheel or any other CC controller of your choice. To configure which parameters are controlled by the mod wheel and to what extent, click on the mod wheel button to open the Modulation Matrix. Here you can adjust the mod wheel's impact on the overall volume, master filter cutoff, and resonator amount. The master filter and the resonator amount sliders are also located near the controls they influence. These sliders are always linked to those in the Modulation Matrix, consistently displaying the same value. If you prefer not to use the mod wheel as the main controller of the instrument, you can change it in the Global Options tab. You have the flexibility to assign any CC controller you want as the main controller. Or you can simply click the Learn button and turn your controller. The CC controller will be automatically mapped. Now let's take a look at the other options in the Global Options tab. Here you can adjust the pitch range of the pitch bend wheel and enable or disable the random sample start. This function causes the triggered sample to start from different positions within the sample upon each trigger. As an example, one trigger might start the sample from the beginning, while another might start it from the middle. The adjustment applied to the 0 position is referred to as the sample start offset. Random sample start can be useful if you want each note to sound slightly different, for adding a varying element to your sound. Sometimes it may not be desired. In such cases, you can simply turn it off by using this button. When random sample start is disabled, a knob appears which allows you to manually control the sample start offset. Close the Global Options tab by pressing the Close button now. Now let's shift our focus to the right side of the instrument. You can add vibrato to your sound with the speed and depth controls. The next 2 controls enable you to add reverb and delay to your sound. You can access detailed editing for these effects by using the expand buttons. Further down you'll find the amp envelope, which is a simple AR envelope allowing control over attack and release. Note that when using Distinction, it's recommended to play it with the mod wheel, which replaces the sustain value of the envelope, making that parameter unavailable here. Finally, there's an equalizer, where you can boost or cut the low end, cut the mid-range, and enhance the high band. The bands and bandwidths of the equalizer are preset to optimally complement the sounds of Distinction, providing quick and easy editing. When you're satisfied with your sound and finished editing, save it by clicking the Save button in the top right corner. You'll be prompted to name your preset and choose whether to override the current preset or create a new one. Once the save is successful, your preset will appear in the menu and will be available the next time you open Distinction. So these are the basic functions of Distinction. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the instrument. If you need further instructions, we provide a detailed manual on our website. We hope you enjoy using our instrument as much as we do. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for the latest updates on upcoming instruments. We are excited to see what unique sounds and tracks you'll create using Distinction. Have fun creating and discovering your unique soundscapes, and see you next time.